So we are continuing with the holy teachings of Tzadok and Parshat Korach, and tonight's teachings is really amazing. It's really a teaching for the end of times. Okay, so if anybody thinks that the end of times is here, so this is what they need to know. This is what they need to know. This is what they need to hear. And the truth is this is something. This is an idea which is really dear to my heart, and it really has to do with why we need boundaries in life, why we need rules, why things can't just be perfect, and it really has to do with a Kabbalistic idea of makiv, and it really has to do with really what Korach was interested in doing, and so Tzadok starts with a midrash, that the midrash says that when Korach was coming to rile up the Jewish people against Moshe Rabbeinu, so he started with an argument, that he started making fun of the Torah, and his argument was that if you have a talit which is completely tchelet, which is completely made of this blue, so could it possibly be that you need one thread of blue to put on it, to tie it, and for the mitzvah of tcheles? And then he took a room which was full of holy books, and he says, if you have a room which is full of holy books, could it possibly be that you need a mezuzah to put on the doorstep, on the doorpost, and that it's not? Of course, it should not need a mezuzah. Of course, it should not need a thread of tcheles, because it has what that thing gives it. So it's completely necessary to have that extra thread, to have that extra mezuzah, the extra scroll, the extra parchment. So it's superfluous and doesn't really serve a purpose. So this is what the midrash says, that he was trying to make fun of the Torah through this argument. And as Tzadok wants to try to understand, where did he get this idea from? Why is that the way to explain the argument? It says very clearly what the argument is, that Korach said, Kol ha'eda kulam kadoshim, that every Jew is holy. Every Jew is holy. It sounds like this is what we love to hear. That every Jew is holy. So but then he continues that and then madua titnasu al kal Hashem. So why? Who do you think you are, Moshe Rabbeinu? How do you think you're better than us? You think you're a leader. You think that you're on a higher level. So that doesn't make sense. So the issue was with the hierarchy of Moshe Rabbeinu. The issue was with the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu thought that he was that he could be a leader, and he was going for this kind of not even a democracy, a sort of anarchy, that nobody can tell anybody what to do because everybody's just so holy. So everybody should just be their own king. Everybody should just feel it out, and so this is that's what the argument was. That why are you? How do you think that you're greater than us? That you can be our leader? That you can be that through you that we need you to come to the Torah, and so to understand what the midrash is really trying to say over here. So he brings from an idea from the Arizal. This is a very deep Kabbalistic idea that is not so commonly spoken about, and that is that there's different ways of understanding how Hashem relates to the world. Okay, so it says in one of the very earliest sources of Kabbalah that the way that Hashem reveals himself, so it's called Eser Sefirot, 10 Sefirot. Okay, what does Sefirot mean? Sefirot, it's just a term. So what is the word? What does the word actually mean? So in Sefer Yetzirah, so it sounds like there's different ways of understanding it, of what the word actually is coming to connotate, and that is that number one, it's from the word sapir, which means sapphire. It's from the connotation of a light. That there's 10 different ways through which Hashem illuminates the world. And the other word is sipur, that from the word story, that Hashem is telling a story. Hashem is giving over, when you say, hey, could you introduce yourself? So this is the story that Hashem tells in order that we should be able to get to know him. So this is the 10 Sfirot is the way that we get to know Hashem. This is the way that Hashem connects to the world, the way that Hashem relates to the world, and These Sfirot, so there's 10 of them, and it starts with Keter. Keter is like Hashem's crown, and that's the one that we don't really understand. It's just like some like infinite blinding light. And then there's Chachma, that's like Hashem's wisdom, and then Hashem's Bina, and then we have the ones that we're more familiar with, Chesed, Hashem's Chesed. Like there's the Hashem created the world with Chesed. Olam Chesed Yibana, that through sharing, through expanding, through giving. And then there's Gevurah. Gevurah is about boundaries, is about saying no, and so on and so forth. There's different Sfirot, different behavior traits through which Hashem reveals Himself in the world. That part's pretty common. It's pretty famous. The thing is that the Arizal says that there's two different ways, there's two different modules of how to understand these 10 Sfirot. One is called Igulim. Igulim literally means circles or spheres. And the other one is Yosher, which means a straight line. So what does that mean? So Yosher, let's start with Yosher. Yosher means a straight line. That means that there was a first point in Revelation. That first point was the holiest point. That's called a Keter. And then from Keter came something which is a little bit less infinite and more tangible, so to speak, and that's Chochmah. And then from that developed something which is a little bit even more tangible, so to speak, somewhere closer to the physical, comprehensible world, and that's Bina, and so on and so forth. It goes through and each bit in this Yosher, in this line. So there's a story going on. Right? There's a story going on. There's a number 1, number 2, number 3, and there's a line by definition. So there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay, so that's what it means. That's what it means Yosher. That there's a cause and effect of how God relates to the world. And then there's something else. Then there's something called Igulim. Igulim means spheres. So Igulim means that if you want to imagine the way that Hashem is revealing Himself through the world, so don't imagine a straight line, but rather imagine a bunch of spheres. That the outside is beyond the sphere, that's the Ein Sof, that's the infinite, and so then the most outer sphere is the Keter, that's the closest to the Ein Sof, and then within that sphere, it's like they compare it to the peels of onions, that you have like different layers one on top of each other, and so the most outer sphere is called Keter, and then within that is an entire sphere of Chachma, and then within that is Bina, and there's some modules that say that it's the opposite, that the middle is Keter and the outside is Malchut, and whatever it is. But from what I gathered, I'm very very much not a Kabbalist, and this is really just from the outside. I'm just learning from Tzadok. But I understand that the mainstream opinion is that the outside is the holiest and the inside is the furthest from the inside. The middle is the furthest from the infinite. So that's what makes sense to me as well. Anyway, so this is a different model, a different model of how to look at the way that these different sefirot are organized. And so the Arizal writes an interesting thing. The Arizal writes that everything that you're ever going to learn in Kabbalah, everything that all the Kabbalists ever taught, it's only talking about Yosher. They only spoke about Yosher, but you should know that there's also a different model to look at it. Okay, so that's what he says. Now, some Kabbalists understand that to mean that you know why we don't talk about it, because it doesn't work in this reality that we have right now. So to talk about the world of Igulim, to talk about the reality of Igulim, so it's not going to get you anywhere. Okay, this is what the Alter Rebbe Chabad explained, that, and the Tzadok goes in his footsteps, that really what the Arizal is really trying to say is that the understanding of Igulim is actually connected to a different kind of reality. He calls this the world of Tohu, the world of chaos, the world that doesn't really have any rhyme and reason, the world of this, just that nothing really makes sense, everything is everywhere, and so it says that at the beginning, before Hashem created the world that we know, so there was another trial to create the world, and that was this Olam HaTohu, and it says that Olam HaTohu was destroyed. Why was it destroyed? Because it just didn't sit well. In the words of the Arizal, it didn't have vessels. There was too much light and not enough vessels. So that's precisely the problem of the world of Igulim. Understanding the way that Hashem reveals himself through Igulim, so the issue with it is that it brings Chorban. Okay, it brings destruction. And that's why in the world of Tohu, so that because Hashem was revealing himself fundamentally with these Igulim, so then that's why it's flapped. That's why it brought destruction and everything broke. So it's possible that that's really like in the Sfirot, that what we said, that one of the words is from Sipor, which is a story. Sipor has to have a cause and effect, and Sapir is just a light. So it could be that these two meanings of the word Sfirot, one is referring to the cause and effect, the Yosher, which makes sense, and the other one, the light, is just simply that we're just going in spheres. Everything is all the same. So we're talking about spheres. So he says that this spherical way of revealing himself in this world, so it didn't work. It brought destruction, and that's why he created the world of Tikkun, the world that we know, with Yosher, with a straight line, but before Mashiach comes, then it's going to be another revelation of Igulim. And Tzadok says that's what it means in the Midrash, that it says that Latid Lavo, Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lasot Machol Tzadikim, that in the world to come, so Hashem is going to make a circle with all the Tzadikim. And everybody's going to point to Hashem. Hashem is going to be in the middle, and everyone is going to say, Zeh Hashem Kivinu Los, Kiviv Yoshienu, that this is the one, this is the God, we see God that saved us. So what does it mean that Hashem is going to make a machol? Machol is a circle, that in a circle, so everyone is equidistant from the center. So something about the future is that in the future way of looking at things, so there's no difference between the bigger tzaddik and the lower tzaddik, that they're all completely equal. And if you think about it, there's something very true about that, because if you think about it, God is infinite, right? So if I ask you, what's bigger, the difference between 1 and infinity, or the difference between 5 trillion and infinity? Right? What's the difference? Which is bigger? So the answer is that there's no difference. The answer is there's absolutely no difference. That the difference between 1 and infinity is infinity. The difference between 5 trillion and infinity is also infinity. So that they're actually equidistant. Meaning that when you have a sense of God as actually being infinite, so then there's actually no difference between being something and being something big, something small, being something and being nothing. It's really all the same. And that's really the problem of thinking of an infinite God, because when we get too involved with the infinite God, so then nothing matters. Nothing matters. And really, there's no ambition, and like, why should I try? If even if I work really hard, I'm going to get to the same place. So I'm good. So that's why that at the beginning, when you look at life with the mentality of Igulim, so it actually brings destruction. And that's why in the world of Tikkun, so what the Rizal says, what we focus on this reality. We focus on this reality called Yosher. Now he's hinting to the fact that it does exist. This other reality, this other perception of Igulim, it does exist, but just we're not going to focus on it. And that's why the Kabbalah actually doesn't talk about it. But Latid Lavo, but at the end of time, so then it's going to return to this Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lasot Machol Tzadikim. Okay, so now so obviously this is connected to Korach's argument, that Korach was saying that Kol Ha'eda Kol Kedeshim, that everybody is holy. So how can you have a hierarchy? So I mean that he saw things with the mindset of Igulim. He saw things with the mindset of, with the way things are actually supposed to be. So that in the world to come, everything is actually the same, and he was already in that mindset. And the truth is, Tzadok writes that he had reason to believe that it's like that, because he thought that we got the Torah and this is going to be the end. This is really everything is good. And he writes that this is really on a deeper level what it means by Kriyas Yamsuf, that Rasa Shifcha Alayam, that even the lowest maidservant, the simplest people that have the lowest level of understanding of God, so when they crossed the Red Sea, they had visions like the greatest of the prophets. So what does that mean? That means that you don't have to be anything special. That everybody is awesome, everybody is infinite, everybody is glowing. So that they had reached this level of truth, that you are all connected to infinity. And he writes that's really what it says, that when we got the Torah, Vayichan Sham Yisrael. So there's a famous Rashi. What's it mean? Vayichan Sham Yisrael by Matan Torah. Ki ish echad b'lev echad. They're one nation, one heart, like one person. And so this way of looking at life, that we are one people, so this is really connecting to this world of Igulim. This is really connecting to perceiving God in His truly infinite reality, that everyone's the same, everyone's just in the circle, we're all equidistant from the point. And so the thing is that when Hashem actually revealed Himself to them, it says that you find a very interesting thing if you're talking about Matan Torah. So the Torah in Parshat Balescha, so it talks about what is the difference between Moshe Rabbeinu and everybody else. Why does it talk about this? Because Miriam was complaining. Miriam was speaking Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu, that why does he think he's so special, that he can treat his wife differently than we do. So it says that the Hashem tells Miriam that you don't understand. Like in Avdi Moshe, that my servant Moshe is different than everybody else. Peh el peh adaber boy. I speak to him mouth to mouth. Mouth to mouth. It's a very direct communication. Now, what's fascinating is that at Matan Torah, so Parshat Parshat says, "Panim b'panim divrei Hashem lekechem eschem." It says that when Hashem gave us the Torah, so Hashem spoke to us face to face. That's precisely the words that He uses to describe how Hashem revealed Himself to us. Meaning that at Matan Torah, so Hashem actually revealed Himself with the same level that He revealed to Moshe Rabbeinu. But what's the problem? What happened when Hashem revealed Himself in front of Him? We died. That we couldn't take it. We actually couldn't take it because we don't have the vessels, because we don't have what it takes to have this infinite relationship. So it actually brought chaos. It actually brought destruction. Okay, so this is the problem. This is the problem with this world of Igulim. But Korach, so he thought that this like this. I see it coming. I see this. We're at the end of times. We need to really think Mashiach dik. We need to think Geula dik. We need to start with this. We have to stop having these hierarchies. We are living in the end of times. Now this is crazy guy. What's his name? Something Zelig. Maybe Rubenstein. This Chabadnik. He's a psychopath. That he says he's Chabad. He says that the Rebbe said that he's Mashiach. The Rebbe said he's Mashiach. So when Mashiach comes, so it says that Tisha B'Av is a Yantiv. Mm-hmm. So every Tisha B'Av he makes a big feast with meat and wine, and because he's Chabad Chassid, so it's like that because we're in Geula, so Mashiach is here, Mashiach now. So that's taking this Geula mindset and like, whoa, that's like way off the deep end. Like that's destruction. That's mamash destruction. Like that's destroying Tisha B'Av. It's destroying Judaism. And so this is that Korach's problem was that he took this Geula mindset. He said like, okay, we're ready for it. It's like we can bring it on. I'm there, and that's exactly what he wanted. And what he didn't understand is that it's a process. That first we need to have a long time of yosher before we're ready for that Geula. So Tzadok explains this is really what he's hinting to. This is what it means that about the talis and about the mezuzah, because talis that one of the things that the talis is representing is what's called the or makif. There's this surrounding light. The surrounding light that is infinite. There's different ways. There's different ways of relating to God. One is that just something which is completely beyond us, and something which is relatable. And so the talis represents that something which is just surrounding us. Like this or makif is the reason why it's makif is because it's infinite. Okay, it's not nothing really penetrates. Nothing really. I didn't really get anything. Or makif is like when you have this like amazing experience. You go to some holy rabbi, and he's like hypnotizes you, and you feel like you've never been so close to Hashem in your life. And then you go back after the class, and your friend asks you, "What was the class about?" And you say like Labiyut, and you say, "I have no idea, but it was so holy." That's Or Makif. Or Makif is that there was nothing that penetrated. There was nothing that I can explain to you, but it was just like, but something. I feel a little bit holier. I feel a little bit better. I feel a little bit closer to Hashem, and it's beautiful, you know. But to live with that, if you're going to live here, can you imagine like if every day of your life you go to a class that and this is the only class you go to that after the class, so if anybody asks you, did you learn anything today? So no, didn't get a word. I didn't understand one thing he said, but it just felt so good. So you like, I would hope that you would question. I would hope that you would say like, maybe I should go to something I understand. Maybe I'll be ready for this later in life. Maybe like just this nice feeling, this holy feeling. So it's sweet, but you need something to penetrate. You need something that you can wrap your head around. So this is what the Or Makif, the talis represents this Or Makif, which represents the Igulim, and so there's the bias that like a room, the home that represents the thing that's makif, is the things that surrounds you. So his thing was that these two mitzvahs of putting tchelas on a talis. So the thread of tchelas is supposed to bring yirat shamayim. It's supposed to bring fear of Hashem. Why? Because why do we have the tchelas in the tzitzit? So Rashi says that you're supposed to think about Hashem. You're supposed to think that, the blue reminds me of the sea, and the sea reminds me of the heavens, and the heavens reminds me of the God who's in the heavens. And so it's supposed to make a process. You're supposed to always be conscious of that, it's not a free-for-all, that Hashem is watching me, that there's rules, I have a mission. And it's the exact same thing with the mezuzah. That the Rambam writes, why are we supposed to put a mezuzah? That whenever we go into the house, whenever we go out of the house, we're supposed to look at the mezuzah and remember that there's a God. We're supposed to remember that like it's not a free for all. We're supposed to remember that there is a very specific mission that we're on here. So the mitzvah of talis, the mitzvah of mezuzah. So the purpose is to remind us of Yirat Shamayim. Okay, so the purpose is to remind us that there's rules. And so these mitzvahs are telling us that even if you're going to have a mindset of igulim, even if you're going to have a mindset of makif, but you always need to have rules. You always need to have yirah, you always need to have fear of Hashem. And if you're going to have this mindset of makif, so then without the Yirat Shamayim, so then it's going to bring you destruction. So that's why these are the mitzvahs that he didn't like. And that's what Chazal were saying when they were saying that he was making fun of these mitzvahs. What he meant was that he didn't like the concept of Yirat Shamayim. He didn't like the concept of rules, and he was really this kind of like hippie, new age kind of guy. I told some people Friday night that Friday during the siren. So a friend of mine told me a word on the Parshat that I hated. That he told me that what the problem of the spies was. The problem of the Meraglim was that it says that they looked out the land ligvuloteha, that they sought out the land according to its boundaries. So he said that what it really means, that when they were looking at Eretz Yisrael, so they were looking at it about boundaries. It was all about what are you allowed to do, what are you not allowed to do, what are the rules, and like just live, just be, just forget about the rules. Just Eretz Yisrael is just so holy. And it's just like, who needs these rules? Just like, stop thinking in the box. Stop thinking about these black and white. Just like, see the colors. See the colors of Eretz Yisrael. That's why they spoke Lashon Hara about it, because if you're only going, that's true. If you're only going to see rules in life, so if you're only going to see rules, so then rules is gonna then you're gonna feel like it's hell. Like I know people that they feel like Shabbos for them, Shabbos is like being in jail for 25 hours, because they were taught a Judaism that's only rules. It's only rules. A Judaism is only rules. It's the biggest curse. It's the biggest it's really sad. So, but the alternative of just like smoking another giant is so destructive. Like I remember like a number of years ago. So I met this boy that he was, I believe he was raised religious, and he was telling me that you religious people, you know what your problem is? That you've eaten from the tree of knowledge. I eat from the tree of life. And like in the tree of knowledge, so like you have this, or what you're not allowed to do and you are allowed to do, and that is your sin. That is what brought death into the world, because we ate from the tree of knowledge. That like the point is to eat from the tree of life, where just everything is just alive. Everything is just so beautiful. Everything is so holy, and so this is really the destruction of a person with this hippie mentality, with this New Age mentality, that nothing against hippies, just kidding, and there's something destructive about this mentality, about a mentality that doesn't have rules, about a mentality that doesn't have any practical ways of judging success, except that you're just more connected with yourself, and this is really why the world can't function like this, and this is why Korach was actually making a huge mistake. Okay, so this is what his mistake was, and so what are we supposed to do moving forward? Okay, so we're stuck in this world of Yosher. We're stuck in this world of Yosher, that there is a cause and effect, and there is, and we're supposed to be looking at the world with this mentality that what we do makes a difference, even though from an infinite perspective that what we do doesn't make a difference. And so the thing is that in the world of Yosher, so we need to try to bring in inspiration from the world of Igulim. And that's something that it is possible to do. It is possible that if you're living in a world of Igulim, if you're living in a world that everyone's the same, then that's direction. That's the opposite of ambition. That's the opposite of having your mission in life. That's the opposite of going anywhere. And if you have a mentality that the way that I experience life is with that cause and effect, with I'm going somewhere, then you can be inspired from the world of Igulim. Okay, and that's really part of what Shabbos is all about. That Shabbos is that everything is done. Shabbos is that you are exactly where you need to be. That you're not getting anywhere. And this is stopping. Like stopping is stopping ambitious, because all your work is done because I'm there. And Shabbos is that we're all the same, and I don't need to feel bad about how far I am from my expectations and serving Hashem, and I can just celebrate that I'm a Jew. I can just celebrate how awesome it is to have Shabbos, and that's beautiful. And the problem is if every day is Shabbos. The problem is if every day I feel like I'm exactly where I need to be. So to have a life of Yosher, to have a life that I have a specific goal and I know where I'm going, and that to be inspired from the world of the infinite. So this is what I call that. This is the mitzvah of dreidel. This is the dreidel is at Chanukah. So Chanukah is all about the world of miracles. The world of miracles where things don't make sense, where there is no cause and effect, where just because you only have enough enough oil for one day. That doesn't mean that it can't light for 8 days. And 8 represents the world of beyond, the world that doesn't go by any rhyme or reason. And so on Hanukkah, so we have a mitzvah dreidel. What's the mitzvah dreidel? So you take a square and you turn the square into a circle. Okay, that's what you're doing. When you spin the dreidel, so you're turning the square into the circle. Okay, so you're turning this box into something which is non-binary, which is non-linear, and so this is
my dreidel.
Your dreidel stays exactly where it is.
It is cis dreidel.
So the mitzvah dreidel is that you have these people that they can't get out of the box, that they only see rules, that their entire life is all about black and white. It's all about like how much are you worth, how much did you do, what did you get on this, what's your grades, and that's how they experience life, and that's also destruction, and that's also not going to get you anywhere. So to be able to have a dreidel, which is essentially a square, but you're able to spin it and be inspired by the circle. So that is what we're aiming for. There's a very interesting thing, that what is actually the relationship between a circle, between a line, let's say a line and a circle. So the ratio between the diameter of a circle, which is a line, and the circumference of a circle. So the relationship is the circumference is pi diameter, right? So pi is an interesting number, that it's a number that doesn't end. Okay? It's a bit of an infinite number. So the way to describe the connection, the way to bring the circle into the square, the way to connect the igulim with the yasher is actually something that can't be defined. Okay, it's actually pi itself is something that can't be defined. That I was thinking that even the symbol of pi is it's two lines and a squiggle. So imagine that squiggle. So you know why he squiggled? Because I don't like going in straight lines. So he's that guy that just if you tell him go there, so he finds himself somewhere else. Because he just can't listen to rules. So that squiggle on top is somehow riding on the shoulders of these two straight lines, and he's actually bringing them together.
Did Rabbi say that about the squiggle on pi?
What's that?
Did a rabbi say that about the squiggle?
No, I just made it up just now.
Oh.
So the pi is actually it's connecting between this igulim and yosher, and it's something that can't be defined. It's something that can't be defined, but even in this undefined thing, so it's bringing together the world of the beyond together with the world of the world of the rules, and so the question is why. The question is what is wrong with Korach's thesis? What is wrong with living a life of New Age? With living a life that we are all so awesome, that every Jew is such a holy neshama, every Jew is so holy. So you just tell yourself that the problem is that it actually doesn't work, and actually brings true destruction in every element of our life. So first of all, that if you have a person that every day he's telling himself that I am just good enough and I'm not doing anything, I don't need to go anywhere, so it's actually going to make him go crazy. You're actually you're at some point it's actually going to backfire. You're actually going to realize that you've actually done nothing with your life, and that they've been telling you nonsense, and you're going to feel like a loser because of the fact that you actually haven't gone anywhere. And if you think about a person that doesn't want rules, a person that can't take any kind of what's not going to any no's, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. So that at the end of the day, they're going to realize that they were fooling themselves, and they're going to be depressed, and they're going to feel like failures. Okay, in any relationship. So there need to be don'ts. There need to be things you can't do. There needs to be things that aren't okay. I remember once that I met this soldier that he was lost, and I was trying to get to the train, and I was just walking with him, and for a reason unknown to me, so he started telling me about confessing to me and whatever, and he said you should know I'm not religious. I try to do mitzvahs. I just like the positive mitzvahs. I just don't like the negative mitzvahs. Okay, so meaning that he likes having a kiddush on Shabbos. He likes putting on tefillin. He just doesn't like not speaking lashon hara. Doesn't like shomer negia. He doesn't like the not smoking on Shabbos, not using his phone. He likes the do's. He doesn't like the don'ts. Okay, so I told him, that's awesome. It's so good that you don't give up. So whatever you do is precious. But I was thinking afterwards, I believe in Torah. So for me, it's easy for me to explain myself why I shouldn't be like him. But what could I have told him? Or in other words, he has a question on Judaism. Why did God do this? Wouldn't life be nicer? Wouldn't life be sweeter if there was only the do's and no don'ts?
Well, one of the don'ts is don't murder. So I don't think that would make it nicer.
Okay. Because you're not a serial killer. But for the serial killer, life would be a lot nicer if you didn't have the don'ts. So I asked my rabbi what he thought about this. And I think it's a serious question. Why did God make this reality that we have so many rows? He beat the system. In his eyes, he beat the system. He gets all the connection and all of the spirituality, and it doesn't have to deal with all these rows. It seems like he beat the system. So I asked one of my rabbis, and he told me that the real answer is that there is no area of life that you can succeed in life. You can succeed in that area without having a list of don'ts. Okay, for example, if you want to succeed in music, so there's a lot of do's that you have to understand. You have to be passionate. You have to understand the melody. You have to be very into the melody, and you have to be creative, and you have to understand, and you have to do things in the right way. But there's also a lot of things that you can do things in the wrong way. That if you use the wrong kind of instrument, and you have to make sure that you don't buy this kind of string and this kind of brand, and you have to make sure that you put your finger exactly this way, not exactly that way. You have to make sure that it's tuned exactly that, not like that. And there's a million things that if you don't do it the right way, if you do it anything except the precise right way, so then it's not going to be beautiful. Okay, the same thing if you're making a piece of art. So there's a lot of do's, you need a lot of creativity, and you need a lot of passion and motivation. But there's also a lot of don'ts. That if you're going to use the wrong materials, if you're going to stroke the brush in the wrong way, so it's going to come out ugly, and it's not going to be beautiful. And in any element of life, so besides all of the do's, there's by definition going to be a lot of don'ts, and you won't succeed without those don'ts. So certainly in life itself, so you can't have a success in life itself without there being a lot of don'ts. Okay, meaning that the reason why we are living this reality that of Eitz Hadat Tov Ra, the reason why we're living in this reality of that there is right and wrong, is specifically because otherwise it's actually going to be ugly. And these guys that it's all about kumbaya, and it's all about just connecting, and you look at them and tell me what you're doing with your life, and it says I am so connected, and come on, but really, and he says no, but really, and he doesn't get it, that he doesn't get it that this is actually ugly. He doesn't get it that this is actually that it's so beautiful if you're actually a successful human being, and you're also able to be so connected. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. If you're an ugly human being, and the only thing that's going for you is that I am so connected, so that's ugly. Okay, and this is the igulim that comes after the yosher. That after 6,000 years of working hard and perfecting ourselves and perfecting the world. So then it says that that there is this reality, which is actually a true reality. That the truth is that God is so infinite that we're all the same. They're all equidistant, and and Hashem actually makes that nothing that we accomplish really makes a difference. It doesn't make us better than anyone else. It doesn't make us better than we would have been if we wouldn't have done it. And yet after 6,000 years of perfecting ourselves and making ourselves, following all the rules and actually making ourselves beautiful, so then we're inspired by this infinite light that adds on to the beauty, the finite beauty, and it gives us this new dimension of infinite beauty that can make us much more shiny. And so this is what I think. This is what I think is the problem. This is the problem of the New Age Torah. This is the problem of the New Age mentality. That interesting story that almost exactly a year ago. So before we started Tzadok, so my plan was actually to do a different sefer, and the sefer that I was going to do was the Ishbitzer Rebbe, the Meir Shilach. And the Tzadok was actually a student of the Ishbitzer. And the thing about the Ishbitzer is that he turns every sin into like the biggest mitzvah. And he like, there is no right and wrong, and there is no, like, in his world, so like everybody was doing exactly what they should have done, and there is no, that like Korach was the biggest tzaddik, and just he had his own perspective, and the fact that Hashem killed him isn't because he's bad, it's actually because he's just so good. It's just because we weren't ready for his light yet. And every single sin is really just most perfect. And like I did it for 1 week, and I said, I can't take this. I don't believe in this. It's that to think that everything to think that the sin, that all the sins were meant to be. So there's something immoral about that. There's something just wrong about saying that everybody is perfect and everyone is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. That in the world that we live in, we need to have roles. In this world that we have, in these rules that we have, so there's actually right and wrong, and it's necessary, it's incumbent upon us to call out when people do bad, and not to say that he was like, he's really doing the best that he can. Like, I know that like there's movies that like they try to like explain to have compassion for pedophiles and a compassion for sociopaths, and just as we should really feel for them, and like that, and like if you have your head on straight, then you realize that's evil. That's like that desire to see the beauty in evil. So that itself is destruction, and that itself is what Korach was trying to bring upon the world. So I bless us all that we should have straight heads. We should not let the New Agers muddle our head with nonsense, and be able to have right and wrong, be able to have cause and effect, and have motivation, and have ambition. And the more that we inspire ourselves to move forward in life and to improve ourselves and to actually get somewhere, so then, and as much as we do that, so Hashem will shine upon us with the infinite light and show us that the truth is that everything that you made yourself is actually so much greater. It's actually so much that you'll never be able to understand how what you did actually makes what you became, and that he'll express to us a reality that things are way beyond anything that could possibly make sense. B'ezrat Hashem. And this is really what we need to share with the world. We need to share with the world that there is rules, there is right and wrong, there is morality, there is goodness, there is evil in the world. And I think like part of what the liberals are pro terrorism and terrorists. Like it's all part of this. It's all part of this like just live and let live. Just everybody's beautiful. Everybody's perfect. Just like you're only having one part of the story. So I bless us all that we should be on the right side of history, on the right side of morality, and the Yosher will bring us straight to Mashiach. B'ezrat Hashem.